The tiny shed felt suddenly crowded and cold. The two large men stood by the broken door, blocking the only exit. Stella walked into the middle of the room, looking around with a sneer of disgust. My, Leo," she said, her voice dripping with mockery. "How the mighty have fallen from the CEO's office to a rat hole. And this," she pointed at Ada, who was trembling in the corner, "this is your new life, a slum wife. It's pathetic." Leo stood in front of Ada, shielding her with his body. His face was no longer the calm, quiet Gateman's. It was hard, cold, and angry. "Leave her out of this, Stella," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "Your fight is with me." "Oh, but she is in this," Stella laughed. "You made her part of it when you married her. A very stupid move, Leo. Hiding in plain sight is one thing, but picking up attachments, that's just foolish." Ada's mind was spinning. CEO's office. What was she talking about? "What do you want, Stella?" Leo asked. "What I have always wanted. What you stole from me. The drive, where is it?" "I don't know what you're talking about," Leo said. Stella's smile vanished. "Do not play games with me. My father is dead and you are to blame. You took everything. The company, the accounts, and the evidence. I want it back, all of it." "Your father was a thief, Stella." Leo's voice was like ice. "He and his partners, including my own uncle, drained the company. They stole millions from the pension fund. They ruined hundreds of lives. Your father died of a heart attack because his crimes were about to be exposed, not because of me." "You lie," Stella shrieked. "You framed him, you and your secret investigation. You were just a junior executive who gave you the right." "My father gave me the right," Leo shouted back, and Ada jumped. She had never heard him raise his voice. "My father was the one who founded Lion Properties. He built it from nothing. And when he died, he left it in the care of his trusted friend, my uncle. The same uncle who partnered with your father to steal it blind. I have been working for 3 years, Leo. 3 years in my own company, pretending to be a nobody, just to gather the proof." Ada's breath caught. Lion Properties. That was the name in the notebook. "So you are not a thief," Ada whispered from behind him. Leo looked back at her, his eyes full of pain. "No, Ada. I am the owner, or I am supposed to be. I am Leo Leonard Akoro. My uncle, your old boss Aunty Uju's brother, is the one who has been trying to kill me." Ada gasped. Aunty Uju's brother. The pieces were starting to click together in a terrible, frightening way. "Aunty Uju, she works for your uncle?" Ada asked. "Yes," Leo said, his eyes on Stella. "He placed her in that house, one of the company's properties, to watch it. He promised her a share when they sold it off. She never knew who I was. I got the Gateman job to get close to her, to find the documents she was holding for my uncle." How did you know to come there?" Ada asked. "My uncle's plan was to sell all the company assets and flee the country. I knew he was using family members to hide his paperwork. Uju was his last stop. I came as a gateman, a ghost, to find the last piece of evidence. I never planned on you." Stella clapped her hands slowly. "A beautiful story. It will make a nice headline. Missing billionaire found dead in slum with housegirl wife. Now, for the last time, Leo, where is the drive with the offshore account data?" "I will never tell you," Leo said. "Fine," Stella said. She nodded to one of the large men. "Grab the girl." The man moved toward Ada. Leo lunged, pushing the man back with a force Ada never knew he had. "Don't touch her." The second man grabbed Leo from behind, putting him in a chokehold. Leo fought back, kicking and struggling, but the man was too big. "Leo," Ada screamed. The first man grabbed Ada by the hair, pulling her to her feet. "Stop fighting, Leo, or we snap her pretty little neck," he crowed. Leo froze, his face turning red from the chokehold. "That's better," Stella said. She walked up to Ada and looked her in the eye. You are the reason he got careless. He could have been gone, but he stayed for you," she smiled. "He must really care about you. Let's see how much." She nodded to the man holding Ada. He pulled out a small, sharp knife and pressed it against Ada's cheek. Ada whimpered, tears streaming down her face. "Stop, stop," Leo yelled, struggling. I'll tell you, it's in the bag, my black bag on the table." Stella's eyes lit up. "Search it." The first man let go of Ada, pushing her to the floor. He went to the small black bag and dumped its contents. A few clothes, a bar of soap, and the black notebook fell out. "It's not here," the man said. "Just clothes and this book." Stella picked up the notebook. She flipped through the pages. "Numbers, account details. You are a fool, Leo. You wrote it all down." "The drive is not there," Leo said, breathing hard. It's in the sole of my work boot, the old one under the bed." The man scrambled to the mattress, pulled out Leo's old, torn boot, and cut the sole open with his knife. A tiny, silver flash drive fell out. "Got it," the man said, handing it to Stella. Stella held it up to the light, her smile triumphant. "Finally, all my father's hard work back where it belongs." "You are making a mistake, Stella," Leo said. "That drive is my only copy. Without it, you and my uncle will walk free, but you will also be signing my death warrant, and hers." "That is the point, Leo," Stella said, slipping the drive into her purse. "You know too much. You are the last problem." She looked at the two men. "You know what to do, make it look like a robbery, a slum crime, no witnesses." She turned and walked to the door. "Stella, no," Leo shouted. "You can't, she is innocent." "Goodbye, Leo," she said without looking back. She stepped out of the shed. The two men looked at each other. One pulled out a gun with a silencer. The other blocked the door. "Leo, do something," Ada screamed, scrambling to her feet. Leo looked at her, then at the man with the gun. His eyes were desperate. "Now, Ada," he suddenly roared. "The window." He threw his entire body weight backwards, slamming the man holding him into the wall. The man's head hit the concrete with a loud crack, and he crumpled to the ground. The other man raised his gun, but Leo was faster. He grabbed the single plastic chair and threw it. It hit the man's arm, and the gun fired with a soft. The bullet hit the zinc roof. "Run, Ada, go." Ada did not hesitate. She scrambled to the small window, pushed it open, and climbed out. She fell onto the dirt outside. She heard a crash inside, then a grunt of pain. "Help," she screamed, running into the main compound. "Help me, please. They are killing my husband. Help." Mama Rose, the neighbor, threw her door open. "What is it, child?" "Men in our room, they have a gun." People started shouting, doors opening. The compound came alive. Back in the shed, Leo was fighting for his life. The man with the gun was big, and he had recovered. He swung the gun, hitting Leo in the face. Leo fell back, his mouth filling with blood. The man pointed the gun at Leo's chest. "You should have stayed a gateman." Just as he was about to pull the trigger, a loud siren wailed from the main street. It was getting closer. The man froze. He looked at the door. He could hear the entire compound shouting. "The police!" someone yelled. The man cursed. He looked at Leo, then at the broken door. He could not risk it. He ran out, pushing through the back fence and disappearing into the night. Seconds later, the shed was filled with people. Mama Rose ran in, followed by other tenants. They found Leo on the floor, breathing heavily, his face bruised. Ada ran in, pushing through the crowd. "Leo, Leo." She fell to her knees beside him. He was bleeding from his lip and his eye was swelling, but he was alive. You are safe," he whispered, his voice rough. "I am safe," she cried, touching his face. "You are hurt." "It is fine," he said, wincing as he sat up. "They got the drive, they got everything." "I don't care about the drive," Ada said, tears of relief mixing with tears of fear. "They said you were a billionaire." Leo looked at her, his face a mess of blood and bruises. He managed a weak, painful smile. "I am Ada," he whispered, "or at least I was." The arrival of the police, which Ada had thought was a miracle, turned out to be pure luck. A fight had broken out 2 streets over, and the siren had been for that. But it had been enough to scare Stella's men away. Mama Rose and the other tenants helped Leo. They cleaned his wounds and gave him water. The entire compound was buzzing. They had heard the fight, they had seen the gun, and now they had heard Ada's cry. They said you were a billionaire. Everyone was staring at Leo, the quiet, poor Gateman with new, confused eyes. Ada, however, was past the shock. She was angry. "It is true," she demanded, once they were alone in the room. The tenants had left, whispering among themselves, and Leo was sitting on the edge of the mattress, holding a wet cloth to his swollen eye. "Yes, Ada, it is true," he said, his voice heavy. "Lion Properties, the name in the notebook, that is your company." "It was my father's. He passed away 5 years ago. He left his best friend, my Uncle James, in charge until I finished my studies. But James, he got greedy. He and his partners, like Stella's father, started stealing from it. They created fake companies, moved money offshore. They were bleeding it dry. So you came back to stop them." "Yes," Leo said. "I finished my MBA abroad and came back. When I saw the accounts, I knew something was wrong, but I had no proof. My uncle controlled everything. He told the board I was too young, too inexperienced, so I disappeared." "You became a gateman," Ada said, her mind reeling. "And a porter and a cleaner. I took the lowest jobs in the company's properties. I moved around, listening, watching. I needed to find the real paperwork, the one thing that linked my uncle to the stolen money. I found out he was using his sister, your Aunty Uju, to store his most sensitive files, thinking no one would ever look for them in a house help's room. So you came to her house to find it. You became her gateman." "Yes, I was searching her office at night, small. I was close. I knew it was there. And then she decided to force you to marry me." Ada sat down. "Why, Leo? Why did you agree? You could have just said no and left." "And let her throw you on the street?" he asked, looking at her. "I told you. I saw what she was doing. I saw the cruelty. And then I don't know, Ada. When she offered you to me as a gift, it felt like the only way to get you out of that house, to keep you safe. I thought I could protect you as my wife, get the files, and then I would tell you the truth." "But you never found the files," Ada said. "No, I got you out, but I lost my chance. And now Stella has the drive, the other drive." "What do you mean, other drive?" A small, painful smile touched Leo's lips. "Stella is smart, but she is also arrogant. She thinks I am a fool. Did she really think I would keep the only copy of my life's work in the sole of my boot?" Ada's eyes widened. You tricked her." "The drive I gave her is a fake. It has some old accounts, enough to look real. But the real one, the one with everything, the original encrypted data." "Where is it, Leo?" He reached up and gently touched the simple, threadbare pillow that Ada slept on every night. "It has been under your head for 2 months, Ada. I sewed it into your pillow the day after our wedding. It was the only place I knew it would be safe, the only place I trusted." Ada was speechless. She had been sleeping on billions of nairas, on the one thing that could destroy these people. She had been sleeping on his trust. "But now they think they have it," Leo said, his face hardening. "They will be relaxed. They will get careless. My uncle and Stella, they will try to access those offshore accounts. And when they do, they will trigger an alert I set up with international banks." "So what happens now?" Ada asked. "Now," Leo said, wincing as he stood up, "we leave. We cannot stay here. They will realize it is a fake. They will come back. And this time they will not be stopped by a siren." "Leave? Go where? We have no money, Leo. You are hurt." "We have enough," he said. He went to the wall, loosened a concrete block behind the bed, a block Ada had always thought was just cracked, and reached inside. He pulled out a small, waterproof bag. Inside was a different set of keys, a simple, non-smart phone, and a thick wad of cash. "This is my emergency money. It is enough. We have to go now." "But where, Leo?" "I have a place. A small house my father left me, far from here, in a village by the sea. My uncle does not know about it. It is in my mother's name. We will be safe there." He grabbed his small black bag and Ada's few belongings. He took the pillow from the bed, his hands shaking slightly. "Ada, I am sorry," he said, his voice urgent. "I am sorry for all of this, for the lies, for the danger. My life is complicated. I understand if you hate me." Ada looked at him. His eye was purple and swollen. His lip was cut. He was a billionaire, dressed in a porter's clothes, living in a shed, and he had just fought 2 men for her. She did not hate him. She was terrified, but she did not hate him. "I do not hate you, Leo," she said, her voice small. "I am just scared." "I know," he said, "but I promise you, Ada, I will protect you. I will not let them harm you, but we must go." He grabbed her hand. His hand was rough and warm. It was the first time he had ever held her hand. "Let's go," she said. They slipped out the back of the compound, avoiding the curious neighbors. They walked quickly through the dark, narrow streets until they reached the main road. Leo flagged down a night bus, one that was heading out of the city. They climbed in and sat in the back, hidden by the shadows. As the bus pulled away, Ada looked out the window at the city she was leaving. She had come here as an orphan, been a servant, and was now the wife of a secret billionaire, running for her life. She looked at Leo, who was watching the road behind them, his face tense. She was still married to a stranger, but he was no longer a gateman. He was a man with a past, a man with enemies, and a man who, for some reason, had decided to save her. The bus ride lasted for hours. Ada, exhausted from the fear and the shock, fell into a restless sleep, her head leaning against the vibrating window. Leo did not sleep. He sat beside her, his body rigid, watching the darkness pass, checking his simple phone every few minutes. There were no messages. That was good. They arrived before dawn in a small, quiet town that smelled of salt and fish. The air was cool and clean, so different from the crowded, heavy air of the city. "Where are we?" Ada whispered, as they stepped off the bus onto a sandy road. "My mother's village," Leo said. "Come, it is a short walk." He led her down a path, away from the small cluster of shops, toward the sound of the ocean. The sun was just beginning to rise, painting the sky in pale shades of pink and orange. And then she saw it. It was not a mansion. It was not a palace. It was a simple, beautiful bungalow painted white with a blue roof. It sat on a small hill, surrounded by palm trees, overlooking the sea. It was the most beautiful place Ada had ever seen. "This is it," Leo said. He unlocked the front door. The inside was clean and simple. The furniture was made of dark, heavy wood. There were shelves filled with old books and faded photographs. It smelled like old wood and dried herbs. It felt like a home. "It is not the mansion my uncle lives in," Leo said quietly, "but it is safe." "It is beautiful, Leo," Ada said, walking to the window and looking at the ocean. "It is so peaceful." "My mother loved it here," he said, his voice soft. "She died when I was 10. After that, my father and we never came back. It was too painful, but he kept it. He left it to me in her name. No one in the company knows this place exists." He looked at her, his bruised face softening. "Ada, I know this is a lot. I should have told you." Ada turned from the window. "Why, Leo? Why me? Why go through all that, the wedding? You are a billionaire. You could have just hired someone. You didn't have to marry me." He sat down on one of the wooden chairs. "When your Aunty Uju made that plan, I saw the look on your face. It was the same look I had when my uncle told me my father's company was nearly bankrupt. The look of someone who is completely trapped. And I don't know. I acted. I thought I could keep you safe in the Gateman's shed until I got the proof. I thought I was in control." He looked down at his hands. "But then living with you, it changed things. I stopped being a ghost. You were so kind. Even when you had nothing, you gave me your bread. You defended me against your cousin. You were real. You were the only real thing in my life." He looked up, his eyes full of a new emotion. "I did not plan to care about you, Ada, but I do." Ada's heart did a strange flip. She did not know what to say. "You should rest," he said, standing up. "You are safe here, I promise. There are 2 bedrooms, take the one facing the sea, I will take the other." For the next few weeks they lived a quiet life. It was a strange, dreamlike existence. There was no Aunty Uju shouting, no Bissy mocking, no Stella with a knife. Leo would go into the village every morning to buy fresh fish and fruit. Ada would cook for them. They would eat their meals on the small veranda, watching the waves. Ada started sewing again. She found an old basket of her mother-in-law's colorful fabrics, and she began to make new clothes for herself, and even a new shirt for Leo. They talked. For the first time, they truly talked. He told her about his father, a good man who trusted the wrong people. He told her about his lonely years in school abroad, knowing he had to come back and fight for his father's legacy. She told him about her parents, about her love for sewing, about the 10 years of silence and fear in Aunty Uju's house. In this peaceful house by the sea, the wall between them, the pillow they used to put on the mattress, finally disappeared. They were no longer 2 strangers forced together. They were 2 broken people healing together. One evening they were walking on the beach. The sun was setting, and the sand was cool beneath their feet. "What will you do now, Leo?" Ada asked. "They have the fake drive. Will they be arrested?" "The alert was triggered," he said, holding his small, simple phone. "I got a message this morning. My uncle and Stella both tried to access the fake accounts from a bank in Switzerland. The international police were alerted. Their assets are frozen." "So is it over?" "No," he said, his face serious. "They are not in prison yet. They will know I tricked them. They will be desperate, and they will hunt me. They will not stop until they have the real drive or until I am dead." A chill ran down Ada's spine. "So we are still in danger?" "Yes, but they will not find us here. Not yet. I have one last move to make." "What is it?" "The real drive," he said, "has to be given to the authorities, but it has to be given by someone they do not suspect, someone who can get back into the city without being followed." He stopped walking and looked at her. "Ada, I need your help. It is dangerous. You can say no, but I cannot do it alone." Ada looked at the man standing in front of her. He was not a gateman. He was not just a billionaire. He was her husband, and he had saved her life. "What do you need me to do?" she said, her voice firm. "I need you to go back. Back to the city. Yes, I need you to take the drive hidden in your sewing basket and deliver it to one person, my father's lawyer. He is the only man I still trust. I cannot go. They are watching for me. But you are just a poor gateman's wife, a house girl. They will not be looking for you." He was right. To them she was still invisible. "When do I go?" she asked. "Tomorrow," he said. That night, Leo carefully cut the stitches in the pillow and pulled out the small, silver flash drive. He held it in his hand like it was a diamond. "This is my father's life, Ada. It is the future of hundreds of employees. It is everything." He gave it to her. Ada closed her hand around it. It was small, but it felt as heavy as a stone. "I will not fail you, Leo," she said. He then did something he had never done before. He reached out and pulled her into a hug. He held her tightly, his face buried in her hair. "Be safe, Ada," he whispered. "Please just be safe." Ada held onto him. The bus ride back to the city was the longest of Ada's life. She was no longer the broken, weeping girl who had fled. She was a woman on a mission, and the small, heavy flash drive was hidden in the false bottom of her new sewing basket. Leo had given her clear instructions. Go to the main market, buy some cheap fabric to look normal. Then at 3 p.m. go to the large library in the city center. Wait on the 3rd floor in the history section. A man wearing a green tie will sit opposite you. He will ask, "Are you looking for the book on the Benin Kingdom?" You will say, "No, I am looking for the one on the Lion of Judah." That man is Mr. Bayo, the lawyer. Ada's heart was pounding, but she kept her face calm. She looked just as she had before, a simple girl in a simple dress, invisible. She got to the city and went straight to the market. The noise and the crowds were overwhelming after the peace of the sea, but she kept her head down. She bought 2 yards of cheap cotton. At 2:45 p.m. she walked into the city library. It was quiet and cool. She climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor. The history section was almost empty. She sat down at a large wooden table and pretended to read a book. At 3:00 p.m. on the dot, she heard footsteps. A man in a clean but simple suit sat down opposite her. He wore a green tie. He looked at her, his eyes kind. "Are you looking for the book on the Benin Kingdom?" he asked, his voice low. Ada's heart jumped. She looked up and said, her voice shaking only slightly, "No, I am looking for the one on the Lion of Judah." The man smiled. "Good, I am Bayo. Leo told me you were brave." "I have it," she whispered. She looked around. No one was watching. She discreetly pulled the drive from her basket and slid it across the table. Mr. Bayo took it and slipped it into his pocket in one smooth motion. "Thank you, Ada," he said. "You have just saved hundreds of jobs and you have honored Leo's father. What you have done today, it is a great thing." "Will Leo be safe now?" she asked. "He will be. We have been working on this for months. This drive is the final nail. Leo's uncle and Stella. Their network is powerful, but this evidence is undeniable. We are filing the injunctions and alerting the press right now. By this evening, it will all be over." "Thank you, sir," Ada said, standing up. "Where will you go now?" he asked. "I am going home," she said, "to my husband." She left the library, her heart feeling lighter than it had in her entire life. She had done it. As she walked toward the bus station, a black car suddenly pulled up to the curb in front of her, blocking her path. Ada froze. It was not a Mercedes. It was a different car. The door opened and her blood turned to ice. It was Aunty Uju. "Ada," Aunty Uju screeched, climbing out of the car. She looked different. Her clothes were rumpled and her eyes were wild with fear. I have been looking for you. Where is he? Where is that Gateman?" I don't know what you're talking about, Auntie," Ada said, trying to move. "Do not lie to me." Uju grabbed her arm, her nails digging in. "My brother James, he called me. He said that bastard Leo tricked him. The police have frozen his accounts. They are coming for him. And it is all your fault. You and that lying Gateman." "He is not a liar," Ada said, pulling her arm away. "He is the true owner, and you are a thief just like your brother." Aunty Uju gasped, "How dare you?" She raised her hand to slap Ada, just as Bissy had done. But this was not the same Ada. Ada caught her wrist midair. The slap never landed. Aunty Uju stared, her mouth open in shock. Ada's grip was like iron. "No," Ada said, her voice cold and level. "You will never hit me again. You will never call me useless again. You treated me like dirt. You forced me to marry a poor man to humiliate me. But you did not humiliate me, Auntie. You saved me." "What?" "You gave me to the only man who has ever protected me. You gave me to the man who owns everything you and your brother tried to steal. You thought you were throwing me in the gutter, but you were throwing me into a palace." Aunty Uju was shaking with rage. You. "I am Mrs. Ada Okoro," Ada said, her voice rising. "I am the wife of the real CEO of Lion Properties, and you are finished." Just then, 2 police cars, sirens blazing, turned onto the street. They screeched to a halt right behind Aunty Uju's car. Police officers jumped out. "That is her," Mr. Bayo, the lawyer said, stepping out of the first car. "That is Uju, James's sister. She is an accomplice. Arrest her." Aunty Uju's face went white. "No, it is a lie. I didn't do anything." As the officers grabbed her arms, Bissy, who had been hiding in the car, jumped out screaming, Mama, what is happening?" Bissy saw Ada and her face twisted. You did this, you orphan witch." She ran at Ada, but Mr. Bayo stepped in front. "It is over, young lady. Your mother and your uncle's crimes are finished." Aunty Uju and Bissy were both crying and screaming as they were put into the police car. Aunty Uju looked at Ada through the window, her eyes full of hate. Ada just looked back calm. She felt nothing. No hate, no pity, just free. Mr. Bayo turned to Ada. Leo was worried. He asked me to follow you to make sure you were safe. I am glad I did. Are you all right? I am all right, Ada said. Let's get you home. Leo is waiting for you. Mr. Bayo drove her back to the house by the sea. It was a long drive. When they arrived, it was late at night. The house was dark, except for one light on the veranda. Leo was standing there. The moment the car stopped, he ran to it. Ada stepped out. They just stood there looking at each other. He pulled her into his arms and held her, his heart pounding against hers. You are safe, he whispered. It is done, Leo, she cried, holding him back. It is finished. They are arrested, Aunty Uju, all of them. He pulled back, his face full of relief and love. He looked at her, the girl he had married in the dust, the girl who had saved his life. Ada, he said, his voice thick, my wife. He kissed her, and on the veranda of the small white house by the sea, it was not a gateman and a house girl. It was a king and his queen. The news exploded. It was bigger than any scandal Aunty Uju or Bissy could have ever imagined. The headlines were everywhere. The Gateman billionaire, Leo Akoro's incredible takedown of his own company. Orphan house girl, forced to marry Gateman, ends up as CEO's wife. The story was unbelievable. It had everything. A hidden heir, a cruel family, a secret investigation, and a love story that no one could have predicted. Lion Properties was saved. The stolen pension funds were located and returned. Leo's uncle, James, and Stella were both arrested, along with Aunty Uju. Their network of crime was completely dismantled, all thanks to the evidence on the drive Ada had delivered. Leo was rightfully reinstated as the CEO of his father's company. But he did not return to the city, not right away. He and Ada stayed in the small white house by the sea. The world could wait. The first thing Leo did was give Ada a real wedding. It was not a grand, loud affair with thousands of guests like Bissy's suitors. It was a simple, beautiful ceremony on the beach at sunset. Ada wore a simple white dress, one she had designed and sewn herself. Leo wore a white linen suit. The only guests were Mr. Bayo, Mama Rose from the old compound, who Leo had brought in a private car, and the old fishermen from the village. As they stood by the ocean, Leo took her hands. When I met you, Ada, I was a ghost. I had a name but no life. I was full of anger and revenge. You were an orphan full of pain, but you were not a ghost. You were alive. You saved me, Ada. You taught me kindness when all I knew was fighting. Ada was crying, but this time they were happy tears. And you saved me, Leo. You were the first person who ever saw me. You were the first person who ever fought for me. I will fight for you every day for the rest of my life, he said. I love you, Ada Akoro. I love you, Leo. They were finally, truly, husband and wife. When they returned to the city, they did not move into Leo's uncle's massive, cold mansion. Leo sold it. Instead, he bought a beautiful, warm house with a large garden. And Ada was not just a CEO's wife. She was much more. I want to do something, Leo, she told him one night. I have all this, but I keep thinking about the girls like me, the ones who are still trapped, the ones who are invisible. What do you want to do? He asked. I want to open a school, she said, her eyes bright. A free school for girls who have no one, a place where they can learn a skill, sewing, cooking, computers, a place where they can be safe. Leo smiled. That, he said, kissing her forehead, is the best idea I have ever heard. He bought Aunty Uju's old house, the house where Ada had suffered so much. They tore down the old, dark rooms. They repainted it in bright, happy colors, and they opened the Ada Akoro Foundation for Girls. Ada was in charge. She was not just Mrs. Leo. She was Madame Ada, the founder, the director, a woman who understood. She hired Mama Rose to run the kitchen. 1 year later, the foundation was thriving. It was full of the sounds of laughter and sewing machines. Ada was walking through the main hall, her hand resting on her own round, pregnant belly. She was glowing. Leo came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her. "How is my queen?" he whispered. "She is tired," Ada laughed, "and the baby is kicking." "He is impatient, just like his father," Leo smiled. As they stood there, Ada looked out the window. Down the street by the bus stop, she saw a figure, a woman thin and dressed in rags. She was begging. It was Bissy. After Aunty Uju was sentenced to 15 years in prison, Bissy was left with nothing. Her rich suitor, Emeka, had wanted nothing to do with a criminal's daughter. All her friends had abandoned her. She had never learned to work, and now she had nothing. Ada watched her for a long time. She saw Bissy pick up a piece of bread someone had dropped on the ground. "What is it?" Leo asked, following her gaze. "It's Bissy," Ada said quietly. Leo's face hardened. "She deserves it." "No," Ada said softly. "No one deserves that." She walked out of the foundation, Leo following her. She walked up to her cousin. Bissy looked up, and her eyes widened in shock and shame when she saw who it was. She tried to hide her face. Ada did not say, "Look at you now." She did not say, "This is your punishment." She reached into her bag, pulled out a stack of money, more than Bissy had ever seen her with, and a small card. "Bissy," Ada said gently, "stop this." Bissy just stared at the money. "This is enough for you to get a small room and some food. And this," Ada gave her the card, "is the address of my foundation. When you are ready to stop being a victim and learn how to work, come and see me. We have a sewing class. I will teach you myself." Bissy looked at Ada, her face wet with tears. "Why?" she whispered. "After everything I did to you, why?" "Because I know what it feels like to have no one," Ada said. "But the difference is, I will not be like you." She turned and walked back to her husband. Leo looked at her, his eyes full of awe and love. He took her hand and they walked back into the school, leaving the past behind and stepping into the bright, happy future they had built together. What did you learn from this story? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. I would be glad to read them. And guess what? There is another interesting moral story coming in a few days. So please subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications bell so you'll be the first to watch when I upload it. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with your loved ones. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.